I came into my interview with Shane Leverenz expecting to hear the story of a young entrepreneur who was working really long hours to realize his vision for his business. After researching Shane and his company FitBox, I thought I had a pretty good idea about what he'd say regarding his work ethic, drive, and entrepreneurial strategies. As our scheduled half-hour conversation grew to a 2-hour-long chat, Shane proved me completely wrong, and it was delightful. This is the fifth and final episode in the Reality Check series, where we are hearing from individuals who left stable positions to pursue ventures they felt would be more personally fulfilling and impactful in their communities. In this episode, we're getting a dramatically different perspective on entrepreneurship than we have in the previous four. So let's get to it and hear what caused Shane to leave his stable corporate job to open FitBox. Shane earned his degree in anthropology and history and aspired to work in archaeology. However, when he graduated in 2009, the job market wasn't so great. He taught in China for a year and returned to the US to work in a fast-paced sales job. He left this position to work for a small startup company in the farming equipment industry, which he helped grow from a $50,000 to $6 million business in just 3 years.
That was my first brush with entrepreneurship. And what was cool about it was I had none of the risk, but all the fun.
With his passion for fitness, Shane decided to pursue a career in that industry.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to go do something I'm actually passionate about. You know, I don't want just a paycheck. I want to care about what I'm doing. So I was trying to get into different sporting good distributors and manufacturers. And like I was applying at companies like Nike and Patagonia and REI and all, things like that. And I found out about Go for Sport from a buddy I lifted with.
He worked at Go for Sport for 3 years. People reported to him it was a financially stable position and a fast-paced working environment. It was what he thought he always wanted. And then Shane's life took a dramatic turn when his father passed away. His father had worked in the corporate world for his entire life and expected Shane to do the same.
I think he always saw me kind of following in his footsteps. And while he was alive, I never rebelled against that vision. I think I was happy to let him create that expectation for me, and then it was my job as the eldest son to live up to his expectations. Well, after he passed away, I really started thinking, like, what do I want in this world? Like, what's going to make me happy? So that was what initially started the journey, before I even knew what FitBox was.
Throughout this introspective journey, Shane began to nurture the idea for a fitness company that made working out fun and accessible for all types of people. A large part of the reason Shane left his position at Go for Sport was he felt he could make a more meaningful impact with FitBox.
When I developed FitBox, a lot of it was about lowering the barriers to physical activity and quality equipment, and creating that gym experience out in the park. So, my goal for FitBox would be at some point to be working with municipalities where we're providing that adult fitness program for free or extremely subsidized.
This is the part that is quite different from what we've heard in previous episodes, and even just different than the message that many entrepreneurs send, which is you need to be working at your company nonstop to make it a viable venture. Shane is very intentional about distancing himself from what he identifies as a sort of autopilot work culture, where people work nonstop and don't analyze the things that bring them fulfillment, or even just breathe for a moment to consider why they're doing what they're doing.
We live in a culture that I think values a lot of the wrong things. And if you're not careful, you'll never stop and actually think about it. You just get swept up in it. You're not busy, then you're seen as like sloth. Yeah. Or you're not pulling your weight. But when you're busy all the time, you're not being creative. Because to be creative, you have to have time and space and patience and energy.
given his commitment to maintaining a balanced life, Shane's day looks a bit different from those we've reviewed in past episodes. His daily goals include getting 8 hours of sleep, honoring his meditation practice, eating 5 different fruits and vegetables, getting 1 hour of exercise, having 2 hours of uninterrupted work on FitBox, and practicing one skill for an hour. So currently that is guitar for him, but he also hopes to brush up on French. So you'll notice that only 2 hours of that day is dedicated to FitBox. And this garners criticism from many of his peers or mentors who say that Shane isn't working hard enough to realize FitBox's potential.
I have some friends that say, oh, you're not being nearly aggressive enough with FitBox. You need to be out there cold calling, and you're not even in the right state. What are you doing in Minnesota? You only get 5 months of the year. Like, you need to be in California, man. You're making... And it's so hard to defend myself against that because they're right. In so many ways. Like, if I really was serious about FitBox being my end-all, be-all source of fulfillment, I'm probably in the wrong place. But I have a much wider view of where I want to get fulfillment from. I don't want to just get fulfillment from my business. I want to get fulfillment from my relationships, from my meditation practice, from my exercise, from a lot of different places.
Shane's life has taken a dramatic turn in the past few years, and I wondered how, when he reflects on the last decade, how his definition of success has changed.
Oh my gosh, it's totally 180. 180. I mean, when I was in college, when I pictured success, it was making a 6-figure salary by the time I was 30, being a manager, having a number of direct reports, probably being married, having a family, and replicating my parents' life really was what success looked like. But there was a very strict financial component. It was 6-figure salary by the time I was 30 years old. And now my vision of success is feeling good about myself. That's all I need. Money is not, as long as I have enough money to do the things I love to do, take care of the people that I want to take care of. I don't need a 6-figure salary to do that. I don't need a 6-figure salary to travel the world. And yeah, it's much more about being content and satisfied and finding joy and happiness in the little things in life.
So there it is, our final episode in the Reality Check series, and something a little different from what we've heard in our previous 4. It's been so wonderful to hear from all the inspiring entrepreneurs who have contributed to this series. If you haven't caught the previous 4 episodes, they will be linked below. And I'm excited to say that we'll be switching up the format a bit in the coming weeks and months and returning to podcasts. This is something I did a lot more in the first year of the platform, so please subscribe to The Conversationalist on iTunes or SoundCloud. Both of those will be linked below. And there will be more information coming out very soon on this podcast series, which has been in the works for just about a year now. Until then, thank you very much for watching, and I'll speak to you soon.